Okay, so to start a corner to corner block, you need to do a chain of 6. Leave a tail, tie a slip knot, tighten your slip knot on your hook. Not too tight though, or it'll be hard to pull your stitches through. Remember that the loop is a teardrop shape upside down, and that the hook needs to point down to pull through each stitch. So to do a chain, you're going to yarn over and pull through the loop. That's chain 1. Repeat that until you have done chain 6, so 5 more times. 2 chains, 3. If you want, you can place a stitch marker right here on this stitch you just made. That's where you're going to be putting your first double crochet. This will be your second and your third double crochet on that last. So this is where you're going to put your block. So now you're basically doing a turning chain. When you do other crochet stitches or longer rows, this is the turning chain. So now I'm going to hold that third chain and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm not letting go of that chain 3 if I don't like counting chains. I'm going to yarn over, and I'm just going to move my thumb to insert my hook in the stitch that I made. If you don't mind counting chains, you can just count 1, 2, 3. 3 chains away from the knot, or it's the 4th chain away from your hook. 1, 2, 3, skipped, and crochet into the 4th chain from your hook. It's the 3rd chain from the knot, the 3rd chain that we made. 4th chain from the hook is how it's often written in patterns. So I'm talking over how to do this part. Okay? That's where you're putting the stitch. Yarn over, and you're going to do a double crochet. Insert your hook into the chain. I just go under the first strand of yarn. I push the chain onto my hook if need be. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through just the chain. Now you should have 3 strands on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Remember, it's an upside down teardrop. Then yarn over and pull through 2. You can also pull up on your hook and down with your left hand, your non-hook hand. Haha, we're pirates. In order to give more tension on those loops and hold them open. That's 1 double crochet, and this is the chain 3 turning chain. So we're working into the 3rd chain from the start, the 3rd chain that we made, the 4th chain from where our hook was when we made it. Double crochet 1, double crochet 2, and double crochet 3. So in the pattern, this would be written DC3, or DC in each of the next 3 chains is probably how I would write it. So there's 1, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook into that last chain, yarn over, pull through just the chain, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. 3 double crochets. Now, because this was our first row, we only have 1 block to do of the main body of the row. Now we need to create an increase, and we're going to do our next row. So this is the first corner. The next row will be a block on top and a block to the side of this. 2 blocks. And then the 3rd row will be 3 blocks, and so on. So to make a block up here, we're going to chain 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the block is going to be worked sideways here. So all of these blocks will have vertical horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal for the height of these stitches. So these double crochets were worked this direction. Gonna chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is what I mean. We're turning the work to work into this chain in 1, 2, 3, these 3 chains. Once again, if you're comfortable counting away from the hook, you can count as a pattern would say 1, 2, 3, and crochet into this 4th chain. Okay, you're skipping 1, 2, 3, and it would be this chain here. Or as you can see, you're not counting the tops of these double crochets, which this is the top of the double crochet. This first one, which is a flat stitch, you can feel, chain 1, 2, 3 away from that block. I think that's easier to look at for me. So you're going to yarn over and insert your hook into that chain, yarn over, pull through, just the chain, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a double crochet. Work a double crochet in each of the next 2 chains. Okay, now you're going to slip stitch to the chain 3 space that is right here. So flip up your work, insert your hook into the chain 3 space. So I'm going to show you again that it makes like a figure 8 of your 2 squares, catty corner from each other. Take that first block and flip it up, and you're going to insert your hook into the space made by the chain 3 and that double crochet. Yarn over, pull through a loop, and pull that same loop through the initial loop on your hook. I like to pull tight so that this is as small as can be, the join between these 2. I also like to keep the slip stitch, as it's called, snug to the right side of this block to help keep it square shape. Now you're going to chain 3, and you're going to put a block right on top of this one. Okay, this is a regular block. Without having to do an increase, you will be crocheting into these chain 3 loops. So you're going to put 3 double crochets into this chain 3 loop. And you will see what I mean about increase on the next row, because we will have more blocks to the row. Okay, that's the end of row 2. So now row 3 will be a block here, here, and here. We'll chain 6, 1, 2, and double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. And in each of the next 2 chains. So you'll have a total of 3 double crochets and that turning chain, the chain 3 here on the side. Okay, once again, this new block, this increase, is going to be attached only by a corner, and it is like catty corner to your work. So you're going to take your initial work and you're going to flip it up, and we are going to be attaching to this corner that my pinky is pointing at. So this block will attach at this corner. Okay, so you want to try to keep the shape of your blocks by attaching to the corner, because this chain loop space, you could just slip stitch into it and be attached like all the way over here. You want to be at the top of your chain. Okay, so we're going to flip our work up, insert our hook into that chain loop space, grab the working yarn, my tail's in my way, working yarn, and when we yarn over and pull through, we also pull through the loop that was on our hook. Just pull through everything. And then see the slip knot is on the right side of that block. I pull it tight all the way to the right corner. That's what I prefer. Now you're going to put the second block, which is going in this corner space. Now this block is not an increase. This is what most of the blocks of your work will be. If you do a big blanket, all the middle blocks are going to be like this one. This block was an increase, and all of your edges will be increases until you've hit the width of your work. And I say the width because you can turn one corner and keep going along the other way, and we'll talk. So you can increase on one side and not the other. Right now, every time we get to an edge, we're increasing. All of our middle blocks are going to go like this. They will be a chain 3 and then 3 double crochet into the chain 3 space that you just slip stitched into to anchor to this block. Okay, now when I do this, I like to insert my hook into the chain 3 space, okay, and then I drop my yarn if need be. I fold back this in the way block. So this block is going to get in the way of my hook trying to grab stitches, so I fold it down. And then when I'm done, I can just bring it back up. Okay, so fold it down and work your double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now bring that block you flipped down back up. Insert your hook in between the chain 3 and that double crochet. Pull through the yarn to make a slip stitch. Tighten if you wish. Now we're going to do one more block. I should say the end of the row is not an increase block. It is just a chain 3, double crochet 3, as long as you're not decreasing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to start the beginning of a new row. This row will have 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the first block, you have to do an increase, which starts with a chain 6. Chain 6. And then double crochet into those 3 chains. Fourth, fifth, and sixth from the hook. Or you could start by just looking at them as the last 3 before the block. It should fill in. Okay, your work is catty corner diagonally attached. You can flip it up now and insert your hook into that first block's top space in between the chain 3 and the double crochet. Slip stitch, tighten. Now you're going to work 3 blocks without any funky increases. You'll do chain 3, 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. And you can speed through this or you can watch it, but this is a good spot to pick up at the next point from if you are speedy and don't need the help. Okay, so for as big as you want to make it, you can continue to increase on the beginning block of each row, and then once you have hit the width that you want, the shortest side, you can start to decrease. So right now this is 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could decrease here and decrease here and make a square, or I could make a 4 by anything rectangle. If you wanted to make a scarf, you could go as long as you wanted with a 4 block width. So I'm going to decrease. If you wanted to keep going and you didn't want to make something this small, then you could do another chain 6, double crochet into the 4th, 5th, and 6th chain from the hook, slip stitch to this corner as you flip your work, and then you would continue to work the body of the row stitches, chain 3, double crochet 3 across until you continue. So just make it as big as you want. To decrease at the beginning of a row, which is different, this is the end of the last row, I'm going to chain 3 instead of 6. And then I'm going to slip stitch to that corner. So I can flip up my work, and I just attach that chain 3 without a block to the corner. And I tighten my slip stitch, and that's how you decrease. So now I can work the body of my row by doing a chain 3, double crochet 3 into that same chain 3 space that I slip stitched into of the previous block. And then I can continue to work up my row. I'll attach to the next chain 3 space, another block, Okay, now this is where you can do another decrease. If I want this to be a square, then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't want to put 5 up here on top. So if I wanted to keep this a square, I could decrease at the end of the row as well. To decrease at the end of the row, I have a fly that found my hands. Decrease at the end of a row, you just insert your hook into the chain 3 space, just like you normally would, of that next block, and slip stitch just like you normally would. But here you're going to do the same chain 3, and instead of working the block, you're just going to slip stitch to the corner of that block you just made. So I'm going to chain 3, and I will not work my last block. I'll leave it alone. I flip my work, and I'm going to slip stitch to that corner. To close up another corner. Okay, and then I can work my next row. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you count diagonally, at my widest, my square is 1, 2, 3, 4. The row I just worked was a 3 because I decreased. I guess technically you decreased once because one was just not increasing, one was decreasing, technically, because I worked 1, 2, 3 squares. Now my next row is going to be 2 and then a 1, and I'll be done. So I have to decrease again to keep going down. Each end has to shrink instead of grow. So no more chain 6s. Now we have a chain 3 and a block worked into that chain 3 space. Okay, slip stitch to the next one just as you would, and work one more block. Okay, now this one you're going to slip stitch and then chain 3 and attach over here. You are not going to continue to go up your work. So slip stitch, tighten if you wish, chain 3. We're going to slip stitch to that corner, so flip your work, insert hook into the chain space made by previous block. Oops. Tighten, okay, chain 3. This is the last row. The last block is going to fill in that space. Double crochet 3, and then slip stitch. Okay, now don't tie off your yarn yet. You're going to chain 3 and attach that last corner one more time. Flip your work and slip stitch. Now, if you'd like, you can cut your yarn there, and this is finished corner to corner, a 4x4 square, or if you want, you can put a border around your work. So I'm going to do that border now. All I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet, and I'm going to put 3 single crochets in each chain 3 loop space. So some edges are all chain loop spaces, and some of the edges have the raw edge of your stitches. So like here I have 3 stitches worked into the chain. I'm just going to put a single crochet into each of those chains and work it twice. Same thing, I think there's only 1 or 2 rows that are chain 3 loops. Okay, so 2 sides seams are chain 3 loop spaces, and 2 sides will have raw edges of your stitches. So here I'm going to chain 1, and I am going to, instead of turning and flipping my work, I'm just going to spiral it from now on. So I'm going to work in a clean circle around this. So I'll work into the edge, this chain 3 space. I'm going to chain 1 and put the 3 single crochets I want there. 1, 2, 3, and continue across. Okay, when you get to a corner, you can just continue to work it if you don't mind the corners being rounded. I want to have a sharper corner, so I'm going to put what's called a picot. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the single crochet that I had made, draw up a loop, and single crochet is what I like to do. I think it makes it nice and round. Now on this side, I'm going to put 3 single crochets around that double crochet on the edge. Okay, and then I'm going to work a single crochet into the chain of each of these double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 double crochets around the next side double crochet, or I'm sorry, 3 single crochets around the next double crochet side, and then 3 more single crochets in those last bottoms of stitches. Okay, now I'm going to work another picot here. Just keep the tail out of your way. Chain 2 and single crochet into the side of that single crochet. Okay, now this side of this double crochet is going to get 3 more singles. Insert your hook, draw up a loop, pull through both. 1, 2, 3, and then in each of these, 1, 2, 3, cross the next DC, 1, 2, 3, and 3 more. Picot, split the yarn. Okay, when you get to the last corner, do one more picot to sharpen it up. Okay, and then you have some choices. I am going to slip stitch into the back loop only of that first single crochet that I made, and I am going to continue to slip stitch around the entire row, outside edge row, in only the back loop. So slip stitch in the back loop only all the way around to finish this off. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you. This is the first single crochet that I made, and I'm going to insert my hook into just the back loop of the V and pull through. Okay, now I continue that all the way around and across. I'll show you what I do when I get to the corners and how that's a little bit different. I just pull those 2 stitches tight that are worked into the chain. Okay, so here I am at my picot and my chain. I just crocheted a single crochet into the back loop only of that single crochet. Now in the back loop only of each of those chains, I'm also going to just put a slip stitch. But these I'm going to pull tight in each of those 2 corner single crochets, slip stitch, and pull tight. And continue across the next side. Okay, back to the corner. They're also harder to work into because they're chains, especially if you did them tight. Okay, when you get to the last corner and you slip stitch into the 2 chains, you're going to have 1 and then 2 single crochets to slip into, if yours is the same as mine. And then what I like to do is when I get to the first stitch that already has been slip stitched, I go into it from behind and I insert my hook like that through the front, and then like a sewing needle through the next 2 stitches, and I slip stitch to anchor it to the back like that. Okay, and then you can chain 1, draw out your yarn, and cut or break. And then pull tight. Now you need to block your work. You can block it by yanking on these. These are quite sturdy. You can just pull the edges. If you have acrylic yarn, maybe don't do this if you have worse wool yarn that you're using. Okay, and then you can also pull it in each of the directions diagonally and each lateral direction, again, to smooth it out. Ta-da! And now you have a perfect coaster for your beverage.